Yeah, morning all. Well, the theme of the back pages, as it has been really for a few weeks, is the proposed takeover of Newcastle United. But this morning, across a few of the back pages, it comes in the form of pressure on the Premier League to block the deal. The belief is that the takeover is the last remaining hurdle for the takeover, that the Premier League's fit and proper persons test. Amnesty International are among those to say the deal should not be permitted on ethical grounds. In fact, in a letter to Richard Masters, the chief executive of the Premier League, Amnesty UK director Karen Allen writes, and that's quoted in the Telegraph, so long as these questions concerning Saudi Arabia's human rights record remain unaddressed, the Premier League is putting itself at risk of becoming a patsy of those who want to use the glamour and prestige of the Premier League to cover up actions that are deeply immoral, in breach of international law, and at odds with the values of the Premier League and the wider football community. There's also pressure from one of the league's biggest overseas broadcast partners, beIN Sport, Qatar-based, and they've written to the league as well, asking for the sale to be blocked. And that's a story from Martin Ziegler in the Times. Now, another aspect to this, also picked up in the papers, in the Telegraph from Luke Edwards, who's very well connected up there, Steve Bruce saying, I don't quite know where Luke's got the story from, but as I say, he's well connected, that he does not expect to be part of the long-term plans. And that's backed up in the Mirror, a story by Darren Lewis, who suggests that Mauricio Pochettino is now the first choice of the new owners. So that's where I wanted to bring the guys in. If we start with you, Graham, when we get to next season, and if the new owners are in place, who could and should be in the dugout?
If it does happen, Steve Bruce should be. They should give him a crack. I think he's done a fantastic job up there with limited resources, under pressure all the time. You know, I've been in that job. It's a difficult job. And I think he's performed really well. But as is the way in football, new people coming in will want their own men. And that'll be right across the football club. They want to do things differently. I would imagine they want someone who's deemed to be a sexier name, a bigger name, someone's maybe done a bit more in the game. That doesn't guarantee them success. As always, it will come down to what players they can attract there. And if they get a big budget to work with, I still think attracting the very best up to Newcastle will be difficult, unless you're going to pay them way beyond the going rate. And I think as it's been the case for a long time, Newcastle have had to pay a premium to get good players to go up there. Whether the very best would go up there, I'm not sure. You know, I'll go back to my time when I was a player. Nobody wanted to play for a London club. You know, we weren't on a sort of dosh that would allow you to go and shop in Harrods most days and live in the sort of Knightsbridge area, Kensington area. So no one, as a player, you didn't want to go anywhere near London. That's all changed now because the kind of money the players get today, they can afford the very best that's on offer down there. So I think, you know, attracting the very best up there would be difficult going forward. And as always, they'll have to pay a premium to attract good players up there. It's Steve Bruce,
Jamie,
in post. A chance.
Jamie, your thoughts? Is Pochettino realistic, or should Steve Bruce be given a longer run?
I understand where Graham's coming from. I think everyone in football, when something like this happens, you always feel like the guy who's already there should be given the crack of the whip. He's been managing under constraints, financial ones, with Mike Ashley being there, not the only manager, lots of managers before. And we always say, well, he deserves a crack, because I agree with Graham. I think he's done a really good job under difficult circumstances. But if you're a new owner coming in and you've got a lot of money, as Graham mentioned, then he should be given the crack of the whip to go and spend that money. What if you look back at maybe a Man City situation, I think owners coming in are very aware of not upsetting the apple cart and maybe causing headlines and changing a manager straight away. But I think Mark Hughes stayed in the job for probably 6 months at Man City, and it was inevitable at some stage it would change. I don't think I'm being unfair on Steve Bruce when I say it's inevitable. So a manager, maybe who's got a better CV, or who's maybe won the Champions League, if this is how high Newcastle are thinking, will eventually come into that job. So sometimes I look at it and think, if you're the owner of that club and you are coming in, rather than give the man who is not your man, a man who is probably not universally loved by the Newcastle fans, rightly or wrongly, would you give him 200 or 300 million in that first summer or first season, really, even if you weren't fully committed that he was going to be your man going forward? Is he then bringing the players in that you or maybe the next manager feel could take that club forward, then it's into that thing of actually changing 7 or 8 players each season. You don't want to be doing that as a new ownership. So yes, you don't want to see managers go, but I think any manager or any even Newcastle supporter, if a new owner comes in, you have to accept he may want to bring his own man in, so that may make it difficult for Steve Bruce. But as I said, you don't want to almost keep him there to appease people and to not get a negative reaction. If they think he's the right man, back him massively, but if not, make that change. It's your club, you've come in and you're calling the shots.
Graeme, knowing the difficulties of that job and the challenges sometimes unique that Newcastle managers face, if Steve Bruce was to leave, do you think he would do so with his reputation enhanced?
I think so. I think everyone realises he's worked in very difficult circumstances. The crowd were determined to get a new owner, or are determined to get a new owner, and I think there was a feeling on, if not every match day, most match days, there was I'm not searching for a word, it's not a buzz in the stadium directed towards director's box because of Mike Ashley's presence. So I think he's done a marvellous job under very, very difficult circumstances. And it's a difficult job anyway, but I think it was compounded by the fact that the supporters wanted new owners. Very difficult job, Newcastle, as lots of managers have found out, and myself included.